I have been waiting for this moment for a long time. About a year ago, I was getting ready to handicap the 2020 Dubai World Cup, but the race got cancelled, so I never really got my chance. Of course, it was great to handicap the Pegasus World Cup and the Saudi Cup for the last two runnings, but I never got my chance to handicap the Dubai World Cup. But now's my chance with the 2021 Dubai World Cup coming underway this Saturday. So, without further ado, here is my analysis of the Dubai World Cup. In post position number 1, we have Ajuste Fiscal, who is a runner from Uruguay. And Uruguay is no stranger to success in the Dubai World Cup. That is where Invasor came from, but Ajuste Fiscal is no Invasor, not even close. In his last couple of starts, he has struggled in the El Maktoum challenges. He hasn't done horribly, but a 5th and a 3rd isn't exactly great when the horses that finished in front of him in those races are running here today. So, bit of a toss. And right beside him is an even bigger toss in Capizano, who has the interesting distinction of being both last in the Dubai World Cup and the Saudi Cup. After that, though, he finished 3rd in the Dubai Creek Mile, and that's basically his only semblance of a decent performance, as he's been 7th and 4th in the El Maktoum challenges. Toss. And those tosses will continue as we talk about number 3, Chua Wizard. I wasn't a big fan of him going into the Saudi Cup, and after that 9th place finish he showed, I think I was right. So I'm going to stick with that sentiment and say that he's a toss again. But I think the greatest toss of them all is Gifts of Gold, as Gifts of Gold went into the Red Sea Turf Handicap as the longest shot on the board. He surprised everyone, but that doesn't really mean jack when the Red Sea Turf Handicap is a 1 7/8 turf race, and the Dubai World Cup is a 1 1/4 dirt race. And the last time Gifts of Gold ran on the dirt, he was 11th in the El Maktoum Challenge behind Military Law, The Great Collection, and Salute the Soldier, all horses that are going to be in this race. So, mega toss. Unless you want to bet on him as a joke. But one horse that wasn't as much of a joke as I thought he was initially is Great Scott. Great Scott is a horse that I've dismissed multiple times in both of my Saudi Cup analysis videos. It's one of the few things that stayed the same about those vids. And I was very wrong about him. Going into the 2021 Saudi Cup, I thought that he hadn't ran since the original 2020 Saudi Cup because I checked Horse Racing Nation and they hadn't added any extra races. However, in reality, he got into the Saudi Cup 2021 edition with a 3-race winning streak, including a Grade 1 race. And then he finished 3rd in the race behind Mischief and Charlatan. So he's definitely very different from what I originally perceived him as, and I'll give him a shot in the Dubai World Cup as a place bet. But not every horse is like this. Number 6 is Hypothetical, who is mostly a miler horse, but he tried a 1 1/4 in his last start, the Grade 1 El Maktoum Round 3, and he did just okay. He had plenty of chances to pass Salute the Soldier, who will be running in the Dubai World Cup as well, but he just couldn't do it. He was just second best, and I don't think that's a good sign when he has to deal with both Salute the Soldier and many other tougher horses. Toss. And one of those tougher horses is Jesus' Team, who I believe is the second coming of Gunnevera, a horse with humble beginnings, who has a lot of his most successful races come at Gulfstream Park, who never wins a major classic race, but oh boy does he come close. Jesus' Team is a very valiant horse and a perfect place bet, with his 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile and the Pegasus World Cup, but a risky win bet, considering that he has not won a major classic race, let alone a graded stakes race, with his biggest stakes victory being the Claiming Crown Jewel. So, keep it at a place. Next up is the mystery horse, Magny-Cours. People do like him, but he has a lot to prove. Magny-Cours has never raced on dirt in his life, only on turf and synthetic, but he has dirt pedigree which suggests that he can do this, with his father being Magdalia Doro and his broodmare being a full sister to Delta Princess, the broodmare for the Great Royal Delta. So, his pedigree suggests that he could handle the dirt, but we really don't know until he actually races, which is why I'm going to avoid him, as I find him a bit too risky. But the next horse I'm talking about is one that I'm quite familiar with, and that's Military Law. Military Law is no stranger to Maidon, having both the Enticer Stakes and the El Maktoum Challenge Round 1 be his biggest victories, and both of them being at Maidon, as well as his Grade 1 placing in the El Maktoum Round 3 last year, proving that he can run at a 1 1/4. but I'm not really sure. After his 6th in the Saudi Cup, I'm a little shook up about him, and I think Salute the Soldier looks like a slightly more enticing version of Military Law, having a lot of what Military Law has to offer, except with slight edges over him. So, I'm not going to pick Military Law, but I can definitely see why others would. So, pick him at your own discretion. Next, we got the favorite Mystic Guide, who I think is a bit of a weary favorite. Yeah, he is the winner of the Jim Dandy over Jesus' team, which is pretty impressive, and he also is the winner of the Razorback, and he did that in pretty impressive fashion, but I just don't think it's really worth it to bet on him. If he had odds like 5-1, or 7-1, or 10-1, then he'd be more worth it, but at 5-2, he's a little bit too short for a horse of his skill level. Not being a Grade 1 winner is a pretty major part of that. I just don't think that the odds match the horse. And even if you do win the bet, well, you don't really win much out of a 5-2 horse. So, it's a bit risky in my opinion, and there isn't really much reward. So, I'm not going to choose Mystic Guide, but I can understand if other people do. Because he's a decently talented horse, I just think his odds at the moment are a bit too short for a horse of his liking. I just don't think he's Dubai World Cup favorite material. But a horse that I think is Dubai World Cup favorite material is Salute the Soldier, who could not be looking any better. Before the El Maktoum Challenge Round 2, he was mostly a dirt miler, but when he chose to stretch out, it actually worked, and he defeated fellow Dubai World Cup contenders, the Great Collection, Adjuste Fiscal, and Capizano. That's 3 different fellow contenders in this 14-horse field already defeated by him in a previous race. And then, in the Grade 1 El Maktoum Challenge Round 3, he defeated Hypothetical, who is actually one of the better favored horses, currently at 12-1 morning line. So to beat 4 different Dubai World Cup runners already in previous races is pretty good. The only thing he'd have to worry about is Military Law and the Great Collection, who beat him in the El Maktoum Challenge Round 1 at a mile. However, he went back to defeat the Great Collection in Round 2 at a mile and 3/16, so I think that's fair enough to say that at longer distances, he's way deadlier, and I think that makes him a better candidate than Military Law. So, I think Salute the Soldier is going to be my win pick. But I still have one more place and show pick, and that is Sleepy Ice Todd, who was 4th in the Pegasus World Cup and then 5th in the Saudi Cup, which proves that he can handle international company of the caliber of the Dubai World Cup, which is decent, but I don't think a 5th is exactly the greatest in the world. If he was 3rd, then we'd have something more. But I think it's definitely going to be a little questionable on whether he will finish 3rd or higher in the Dubai World Cup. I think it's a worthy risk as he is a game horse, but I think 4th or 5th may definitely happen. But I'm still going to give it a try. As we approach the end of this field, we have the Great Collection, who, akin to Capizano, Hypothetical, and Adjuste Fiscal, is another horse that, just by comparison, is way worse than some of the best contenders, as, even though he did technically beat Salute the Soldier in the El Maktoum Challenge Round 1, he did still lose to Military Law. And then after that, he was 2nd behind Salute the Soldier in the El Maktoum Challenge Round 2, and then 4th in the El Maktoum Challenge Round 3. So he seems to not be getting any better, and I think that's a good enough reason to toss him. And lastly, we have an American horse, Title Ready, who most recently won his first grade stakes race, the Louisiana Stakes, off of a slow pace. And it was a closing victory, so not bad. Not a bad performance, definitely his best performance by far, but I don't think it's nearly enough for him to be considered a win contender for the Dubai World Cup. A Grade 3 race in Louisiana is way different than an international Grade 1 held in Dubai. So, I'm gonna avoid Title Ready and just say toss him. He's never looked better, but even at his best, it's just not enough. And that concludes this year's Dubai World Cup field. Final choices, for the win, it's Salute the Soldier, and then in the place and show honors, it's Jesus' team, Great Scott, and Sleepy Ice Todd. So, hope you guys enjoyed my analysis of the Dubai World Cup. Comment down what your choices for this race are, and see you guys next time.